Driving through New Zealand's South Island, you pass by many different landscapes and over many rivers. This area has an ever-changing climate, and knowing where to go on a particular day is always a challenge for visiting fishermen. Bright and sunny days are favoured for sight fishing, but overcast days are often better for mayfly hatches, especially on spring creeks. Spring creeks are fed almost entirely from aquifers and are not subject to varying flow levels. They flow constant, cold and clear regardless of daily or seasonal variations. They're fertile and grow prodigious weed beds filled with aquatic life. Fish that live in them grow big and really only appear when there's an insect hatch on. On this spring creek, you can almost set your watch by it. During the day, the fish feed amongst the weeds, but in the afternoon, aquatic insects begin to hatch, and this brings the fish out of the cover of the weeds. But on bright sunny days, the insect hatches are sporadic, and so are the fish. These are places to come to when the weather really turns nasty. The colder and uglier it is, the better the hatches and the better the fishing. This is a much better sort of day for spring creek fishing. Those blue sky days are very difficult. You don't get the insect hatches that you get on a heavy overcast day. And also on those blue sky days, of course, the fish can see you very clearly because this water is absolutely crystal clear. Got a fish rising here. I'm just waiting for it to really get into a pattern of rising. More insects to come down. It's risen once or twice, but it's sort of moving from side to side in the stream. And if I just charge in there and plonk a fly where it rose, I may very well line it and spook it. So I'm waiting for it to lie into a particular seam in the current and start rising regularly. The old saying, where he rose is where he was, it's not where he is very, very true in these creeks. And you want these fish to really get into a feeding pattern before you present a fly to them. It's just starting to become a little more regular, this fish out here. But it's still a little early. This particular creek has a very prolific afternoon hatch. Visit it frequently enough, and on a creek such as this, you can get to know all the fish. They have favoured lies in amongst the weed beds where the currents bring the mayflies to them. These small insects are at the foundation of fly fishing, and fly ties struggle to imitate their delicacy and subtle beauty. After swimming up from the bottom as nymphs, they break through the meniscus to emerge as subadults, known by fly fishermen as duns. They briefly float on the surface like tiny sailboats before flying away. These are what bring the big fish up. They love them. The more mayflies there are, the more big fish start rising, and the longer the hatch goes on, the more they become transfixed and the harder they feed. I was happy with how my fly looked, but the tippet was not lying well. You need everything in place to fool these fish. And still they rose, but not to my fly. The intensity was picking up, and I kept trying for that perfect drift. For now, there was something about my fly or my presentation these fish just didn't like. There's a whole string of fish in the current here rising to the duns. Big hatch of duns coming off. But they are so difficult. Every time I put my fly out there, I seem to spook them or they go off feeding. I think they're actually moving upstream to this bit of a riffle up here. In fact, I can see a couple of fish rising up ahead of me in the riffle and on the edge of the current. Yet there's 3 or 4 fish rising up there. I have to keep low because these fish see a lot of anglers and they are very spooky. We've got a heavy overcast day, lots of duns coming off. What I'm waiting for is for them to be really focused on their feeding so that I'm not so apparent to them. When they're up close to the surface, they have a very small window view of the world. When they're deep, they have a much bigger view. So when they're up close and feeding, I can approach quite close to them. And that's what they're doing now. Okay, I'll move up another 10, 20 feet. Okay, I've just got to keep low and quiet. Man, is that challenging. Oh. There's at least half a dozen big fish up in there. The hardest part is working out which one to cast to. Of course, at the moment the hatch is in full swing and they're not lying in one line, they're moving back and forth all over the place. I'm just going fairly easy on this fish. It's a big fish and I just don't want it to dive down into the weeds. A little further downstream here, it's a little clearer of weed beds. I'm using a very fine tippet, 6X tippet. So I'm just going easy on this fish. I don't want it to panic, I don't want it to jump, I don't want it to find the weed beds. But I don't want it to panic. Just gonna go easy. I think I'm the one panicking. God, that was extraordinary. I struck on instinct. It actually took the fly heading back downstream. And I just thought my fly's somewhere there, and yeah, that was it. Amongst the thousands of duns that are coming downstream now. I feel lucky to have struck at the right time, quite frankly. I'm also using a very long leader. This is out around 18 feet long. And a long fine tippet to get that drag-free drift. I'm going fairly gently on it. I don't want to lose these fish. These Spring Creek fish are such a prize. It's a good fish, yeah. Not a monster, but it's a good one. Oh, it's beautifully marked too. Gently, as I said, the higher I lift this rod, the less pressure I put on the fish. So I'm going to protect that tippet by keeping the rod high. That'll absorb its thrashing and head shakes. 6X is about a 3-pound tippet. About. There it comes. Come on. I prefer to not use a landing net. The simple reason that I just keep losing them. I'll just gently grab the tippet. Oh, it's a magnificent fish. Not quite ready yet. Just gently grab the leader, hand line the last bits. I need to shorten that up a tad. There it is. Come on, that last bit. Come on. There we go. There we go. Oh, that's a beautiful Spring Creek. My goodness. Oh, look at that. Look Look at that! Look at that! Fantastic! What a fish! A big fat buck. Brown. Gorgeous. Okay. Slip it back into the water. I'll get that fly out. Yes! 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 Oh! Wow! Wow! What a fish! Oh, what a fish! God! Oh. Very light tippet, that's why I'm bowing to it. Got to try and keep its head up. Stop it getting down into the weeds. This is such a fat, incredibly conditioned fish. So much food in these spring creeks. Almost tempted to call it a pig. Just got a big fat belly on it and very broad across the back. Just going to go gently just to make sure I land it because you just want to see this thing. Amazing, amazing, such a small river. Come on, man. Oh, I'm gonna get that thing. Got that fly well down. Come on. Oh my goodness. It's a 7, maybe 8 pound fish. Look at that. Oh my goodness. What a fish. What a glorious fish. Oh. All right. Thanks, old girl. Off you go. Well done. Go and give those duns hell. You know, you have some pretty good moments in your fishing life, but that was right up there with the very best of them. That was special.